Hi, Gryoger here again on a side quest for our Let's Play solo series. In this video, I want to talk about iterating one more time over our first level encounter tables, the monster manual ones. And in this video, what I'm going to do is take a look at some CR4s, 1/4s, and swap around some of the other stuff. So let's get started. First of all, um, our encounters of giant rats have been pretty good. So uh, on these fours, I'm going to go ahead and do the 1d3 plus 2 and 1d3 plus 3. I was running these a little lower because they're pack tactics monsters, but because they don't have a range attack and they don't have climb, they literally kind of pile up in front of the party. So I think they're fine. By the way, the goal of this is basically I'm trying to balance encounter tables as high as possible, so it takes fewer encounters to get through up to the next level. So we want them as dangerous as possible without having a serious risk of TPKs. So after the rats, I want to take a look at our mains. And what I'm going to do here in preparation for some other things, I'm going to swap them with the guards and the mastiffs. So this is a position change. Basically, I'm changing the probabilities of them appearing on the bell. So I'm going to change these to 15s and 15s back down to 13s. And we'll do that on both of them. and 13, and these become 15 and 15. Why am I doing that? Let me just bring this on for a second. So if I bring on this table, this is any dice. This is our bell curve for our not the D15s. These should be a D6 plus D10s. And these are our flat, high probability monsters. And so by swapping these around, I'm changing the probabilities these monsters are going to appear. It also indirectly affects the average number of experience per encounter when I do that as well. So now that we've done that, I want to tweak the flying swords. I haven't liked these flying swords. They're really too tough for a quarter monster. Like I said, not all monsters are the same, but if you look at these special abilities and their armor class and their hit points, these things are pretty tough. These are like boss level type numbers, particularly the armor class. So what I want to do is I'm going to get rid of the Lemures. But I like the Lemures as a monster. I just don't like them as a 0 level encounter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move them down with the flying swords. This solves a couple of my problems. It's going to weaken the flying swords, and it'll keep the Lemures around. You may have to do why effectively the flying sword becomes the leader of this group. It's clearly a demonic flying sword. And so we're going to go ahead and do 1d3 plus 1 and times. And we're going to change on the 4s. We're going to just change this down to 1 flying sword. So basically, clearly a demonic flying sword. Actually, these are devils, so a diabolical flying sword. And we're going to move Lemures over here. And we'll change the number appearing to 1d3 plus 2 times for the 5 PCs. All right, so I'm doing that because I'm going to get rid of this. I want this Lemure encounter over here. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to swap the Acolytes into a similar position as the guards. So I'm going to swap the Lemures up to 2s. And Acolyte and the Cultists where the 5. And I'll do the same thing over here. These will become 5s. And the Lemures will become 2s. Because I'm going to use that slot for our new monster. I've kind of looked over this. As I'm going to change these a little bit. Instead of just a straight D3, I'm going to do a D2 plus 1. And I'm going to do essentially the same thing over here. This gives me a higher minimum because the Acolytes in the Legacy Monster Manual are quite weak. They have a very poor armor class. The newer ones in the new Monster Manual wear armor, and they're significantly tougher. The real issue here is, and why I'm not rocking them up as high, is these guys have bless, so they can amp up those cultists. So I'm keeping the number of cultists down. All right, now that we've got that done, I want to go ahead and add a new CR 1/4 monster. I'm going to add a smoke Mephit over here to replace the, these are quarters, 1/4. So I just drag it right there and drag it right there. What I'm doing for a lot of these quarters is I'm going to run it 1 less. So instead of rocking 1d3 plus 2, I'm going to do 1d3 plus 1. And these are the 5, so it'll be 2, and this one will be plus 1. And then we need to change the names. And we need to check we actually dropped everything in the right place. All right, so let's click these, make sure we get smoke Mephits. All right, almost done. So now that we've added the smoke Mephits, the whole point of having this tail, these big tails, is these things happen quite rarely. Basically, 1 2/3%, which means they show up every once in a while. But most of our bread and butter ones are these one that's in the middle. Excuse me. So our final thing is for the giant fire beetles, we're going to replace these with another CR 1/4 Grimlocks. And we'll adjust the Grimlocks. There we go. So we're going to use our quarter, so I'm still going to run them 1 lower than normal. And let's go ahead and click these to make sure we actually have Grimlocks. Okay, we got to change the Grimlocks. There we go. GRIM. There they are. Drop and check and check. All right. So these tables hopefully are the last tweaks. I think these will make them a little bit more interesting. And we've beefed up, we got added Grimlocks, another humanoid, which humanoids are best in dungeons. I think open doors, just stuff like that. And that's all I wanted to do in this video.